Hello and welcome to today's Monday midday meditation. I am so glad that you are here. I'm just getting everything set up to go here, making sure I've got all the things I need and everybody is able to join us here. Perfect. So thank you for joining. Today I am inspired by a couple things. I'm inspired, first of all, by the beautiful scenery out my window, looking into the backyard, and I am struck by how the sun is shining off our first snowfall of the year. And I am inspired by the beauty of the remaining fall leaves and how they are mingled with the brightness of the snow and the sun. And it has made me think of my recent time away, my recent trip. And in today's time together, I wanted to share a little bit about that with you. And in fact, I've got a story that I wanted to share with you about that. And so as you are preparing for our time together by getting really comfortable in your seat, closing your eyes when you're ready, and just taking a few mindful breaths, I wanted to share. Excuse me. First, a little sneeze. My time away reminded me so much about why I do this, why this is the work I love to share with you, I love to share with the world, and because and how this is actually my passion. There are so many examples each day, each moment gives us this opportunity to create this calm, clarity, ease, and joy, absolute joy and wonder. But we are often just too busy to notice. And we are so much in the habit of doing that the world can pass us by. Quite literally, I was able to watch the world pass me by while on a train for 4 days. 4 days, very few stops. I think I got off the train twice. And just watched this beautiful country of ours unfold for me, province by province, for 4 days. And so what I wanted to share with you today is a story that I'm calling The Stillness. There is a momentum, a pattern that is the impulse of our day. We, in the normal course of daily living, establish these patterns and habits, school, work, parenting, partnering, and we fall into its rhythm. Repeat, repeat, repeat. As life shifts, the pattern is disrupted momentarily, and we seek then to move into the cadence of a new pattern. A new rhythm begins. A rhythm resumes. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So like I said, I had an opportunity recently to travel cross-country by train. It was an exciting chance to see how the country unfolds from the vantage point of the rails, province by province. A chance to see the Rockies from land instead of air, and a time out of my normal daily routine to break up the momentum of my days and my weeks. It was something, this time I had been longing for, a time when I would have longer periods to think, to write, to refine some ideas, design, copy on my website, to review and update some programs, some details, and some good head down time while surrounded by beautiful landscapes and great company. It was a time of timelessness, not governed by a schedule or daily chores. You can't multitask, right? While you're on the rails, there's nothing else to do. And it was a time to be nourished and nurtured and to have nothing to do except that which I wanted. And that's the wonderful thing about vacations. They often disrupt our patterns in ways that we don't even plan for. And my getaway certainly did that. And at the whim of the unfolding journey, the blessing was in the time and the observing. And my first observation was my need to break my attachment to my expectations. You see, within minutes of boarding the train, all the plans that I had planned for in my pattern disruption fell away. There was no Wi-Fi, intermittent at best cell service, and very few power outlets. So this basically meant no work. All the good head down time that I planned simply couldn't happen. The laptop, the iPad, the cell phone, the required chargers were basically all extra baggage at this point. My cell phone served primarily as my camera, upon which I could capture all the moments of the trip. And each day, me and every other passenger took turns at the charging time at the electrical outlets. So here's what I noticed. In addition to the rise of frustration, was that all my planning time, all the things I had planned to do were actually tied to the daily patterns and the momentum that the trip itself was intended to break. And then when I could see that, I could notice that the frustration that I was, would come up in me was actually just part of the breaking of that momentum. And it also showed me the extent of the groove of my current pattern. So taking the perspective of the observer, I then had a choice. I could continue to observe the pattern, just watch it unfold, or I could really lean into all those emotions that were coming up. I could continue to watch how the breaking of the pattern did unfold for me, or I could shift into that pattern of frustration and its close companion, negative self-talk. I could have been chastising myself for not have planning better, for not have realizing that this old kind of classic railway cars would not have the updated technology to do the work I thought I could do. I could have chastised myself and did for, a few moments here and there for not having done all that work beforehand, or not kind of planning to do it after. I was kind of saving it up, if you will. And, those feelings would come up, they would come and they would go. And each time a frustration arose, I would just sit with it. And I'd look out the window. And I would choose to be captivated by the moment unfolding before me, instead of being captivated by the frustration. And then each time it arose, the intensity was just a little bit less and a little bit less. And then before long, it wasn't there at all. You see, the gift of the getaway wasn't about all the things I'd get done. That good head down time that I was foolish enough to think would happen. The gift wasn't about the stillness in which I could, if I chose to, just observe. You see, every time we break the momentum, we disrupt our patterns, we create the condition for stillness to arise and for observation to occur. And that's not a time of to-dos. That's a time of settling. And then through it, clarity and calm, which is our natural state, can surface. We can return to ourselves. And I can't help but wonder what I would have missed if all of those expectations I had been met. What would I have missed if I had leaned into the frustration and negative self-talk? I kind of see it like one of those sliding door moments or this fork in the road. So beyond the wonders and beauty of the countryside and close connection with my mom, there was that inner peace and still and intense clarity that arose. But if I had chosen instead the busy work, the busy mind, I would have missed the most important things. And the impact of that would still and is still unfolding for me. The ripples of the patterns that we choose continue. Repeat, repeat, repeat. One version of Kim took the path of the observer, choosing the stillness and the calm. One version of Kim could have had everything that she'd wished for, all those expectations of that trip, been met, and all of that work, that busy work, done. And yet another version of Kim, with those unmet expectations, could have been frustrated, pissed off the entire time. So you see, we have these choices, these everyday choices. Every moment choices, really. It doesn't always take a trip or time away to be presented with a choice. They happen all the time, but it's often when we get away that we notice how our patterns then impact the choices that we make. Now, the great news is you don't have to have a get away from it all, 4 days on the train with nothing else to do type of vacation to notice it, although these trips do tend to highlight places where we may still be stuck. But we can actually break the momentum of our patterns every day. In fact, when we get really, really good at it, we can break the momentum every minute, every moment. Because calm, clarity, ease, and then living a stress-less life, which I think is a life of greater joy, is possible when we break those patterns, break the momentum so that we give opportunity for the clarity, the stillness, the discernment, the perception to clear. When we give way for that stuff to arise. Instead of repeat of the patterns of busyness and to-dos and expectations and wants and desires and the flow of life, chaos, job, people. The pattern that we want to repeat, that we strive to repeat, is that of utmost clarity, persistent calm, and certainly that of ease. And so as we wrap up today's Monday midday meditation, I invite you to linger here for another good few minutes, as long as you can, really. Already you've chosen to break the momentum of your day. Your choice here at this point is to allow for observation, allow for stillness, allow for time for that calm. Notice what arises. Sit with it. Let it percolate. Let it do its thing. Let it dissipate. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Or to take this time in quiet, in stillness, to do some good head down work, some thinking time, solve a problem, replay an argument, replay something you would have done differently, plan a conversation. Repeat, repeat, repeat. This is your fork in the road moment, even at this midpoint of the day and even without a big vacation. You can choose the path of continued busyness, the continued momentum, the continued trajectory that you were on before you sat down, or you can choose to return to your own true nature. This place where clarity and calm have opportunity to shine through the noise. And so I will leave you here today, my friend, and thank you so much for joining me. May your path be ever the path of ease, the path of light, the path of delight. Until next time, namaste.